Okay, you guys want some idle music? Boom, 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 boom. All right. I don't know if I should do it, given that we like have a VOD for this, and it's the same music every time, but it's fine. I feel like I'm so like out of breath with this game that like I don't even know how to even start here. The good. What do we like about this game? Tell me your things, and while you tell me your things, I will say what I think. I think this game looks very good visually. I think the graphics, I think, like, especially for visually impressive for an early Wii game, I think. I would just say visually impressive. Visually impressive. I think it does a really good job. Slash, I think it mimics the style of the show generally pretty well, visually as well. I think it's like a good, visually impressive slash expressive, maybe something like that. It's like a short way to put that. But like, I think a lot of it comes down to like character face expressions and things like that. I generally feel that way. I don't know if like a kind of unexpected. How should I put this? Because, like, I don't necessarily want to say that I was taken aback by the type of game this was as, like, a positive per se, right? Combat is good. And they have their own music. Like variety. A lot of variety in combat, maybe? I think that's something I can get behind. I think the good part of the combat, I think it is fine for combat, like the actual playstyle. But I think the variety for sure, I think, is definitely there. I think the combat's definitely passable. I think it could definitely be a lot more improved, especially early on. But I definitely think the variety I can definitely get behind on that. Just a good mix of stuff going on here. With each character feeling a deep crafting system. I'm kind of curious, Mr. T. Like, I typically, like, a crafting system is something I don't praise in a game, and I have no problem praising it here because it is good. Like, do you know, like, what defines like a deep crafting system in some ways, right? Like, I guess, like, to me, I've never really thought that much about it. Like, I never thought too much about, like, what's a good crafting system versus, like, a bad crafting system. Crafting mechanics. Yeah, I think it's reasonable to put deep crafting system. Maybe, like, I do think there's something to be said about, like the kind of the scavenger hunt nature of this game. It does feel very like what do I want to say about it? Honestly, yeah, you don't know. Yeah, I have a hard time, like, it's not something I really praise usually, so like I think you guys are right though in like pointing it out. So cat, where is that cat? Cat noise? Where's that cat noise come from? I don't know where he is. Yeah, like, that's actually a good point. Like the crafting system does like connect to a lot of points of this game. It is like, it is actually like, in some ways, maybe we should talk about this, include this, like the crafting mechanic is connected to literally like every part of this video game, right? Like there are, it's not as prominent, but like, you know, new weapons you get from it. It's for progression. It's for, you know, stat buffs. It's for like unlocking new features, unlocking new items. Like the crafting system is like deep, maybe like deeply integrated crafting system. Maybe like something like that. Deeply integrated crafting mechanics. I wonder if I should make this text smaller. I feel like we always run out of text size or text space. I think the part I'm split on is like, is the scavenging a good part of this game? In some ways, I think it's good. But, like, what part of it is good? I think that's the thing I'm really struggling with right now. Like, I want to say something about it. I just don't know what. Maybe just, like, one of those situations where, like, I want to say unique progression, and I know I don't want to say unique, so I'd say distinct, and I'm like, okay, distinct progression. Like, I don't know if that's good that I put it that way, but it is, like, a really interesting way to progress in a game because it is so, like, deeply integrated with those crafting elements. Like, I do really do appreciate, like, that part of it. We'll leave it for that for now. I think I'll need you for this, Mr. T, of just, like, when it comes to, like, fan service and things like that, like, does this game feel like it does a good job with that? Like, you get to fight a lot of characters, and I feel like those characters really didn't need to be in this game, but they did go out of their way to put them in here. They all have their own, like, distinct movesets. They have, I think, really well-made character models, and, like, special moves. Like, I think visually, you know, not knowing a lot about One Piece, those characters did feel, like, really well integrated. So I feel like as much as I've said this game doesn't feel very One Piece-y, I feel like the fan service element there is, like, pretty decent. Admittedly, they don't really give you, like, a strong reason why they should be there. It's kind of like, it's like, oh, it's from your memory or something like that, right? But I feel like that could be decent fan service. Good fan service? Okay. I don't want to put that on there without somebody who's actually a One Piece fan back me up on that. I feel like I feel like I'm stretching to some degree there, but I see the pieces of good fan service, I feel like, there. So, is there anything else? How about unique progression or distinct progression in world design? Maybe something like that. Because I think part of it's also kind of how the world connects to each other in some ways. But I think a part of, like, why it's interesting, I think, is connected to the fact that you have to go around, like, farm materials and things like that. And so it is kind of like, talking about earlier, like, kind of like wide open areas in some ways with the other guy that was here. But I think I'm feeling good with, like, those 5 points. Does that seem reasonable? For good? I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I would say. Cutscenes or whatever. Voice acting is fine. Gameplay, combat. Went through combat. Was there anything in combat I liked? Variety we already talked about. Yeah, I think that's everything I can think of. Well, we have not stamped it yet, so if there's something you want to add in for the good, let me know. But I think I'm gonna move forward to the bad. Maybe too long is maybe just the best way to put that. Too long. It should have been half the length it was, probably. I think I mentioned it earlier, but I think if they made it for one boss every area and you just went through the area once and did the boss fight, I think that would have been good. I think the doubling up on the areas was a little annoying. A lot of grinding. Would actually, like, when you say grinding, it probably actually is like a lot of farming, right? Farming materials. Like, I don't know if grinding to me, like, reads as, like, killing things for EXP. I think farming materials is excessive material farming. Like, I think the concept is good, but, like, actually getting the material, there's a lot you need to get, and, like, excessive and vague. Because I feel like a lot of the problem is that you don't know where those materials come from. And you just have to go and look. There like doesn't seem to be a lot of hints on it. Some of them do. Fountain berries tell you. Other things are just like, it's a gold Hercules bug. And it's like, how am I supposed to know that it's going to be a rare spawn in one particular area? Like, it doesn't seem like I would have any hints other than just one time I noticed it being there, right? So I think maybe that. Early combat, too simple. Like the combos and stuff like that in the early combat's just not very good. Just because of the limit on combos. They do eventually kind of unlock, and I think it gets to the point that's like acceptable. I don't think it ever like excels. That's the word I'm looking for. I think it's just the early combat specifically is just a little too simple. What else is bad? Some of the levels is a little linear. Can you Joshua, give me a little more detail about what is bad about, like, I think the thing I want to make sure is that, like, when we say something is linear, I don't think inherently being linear is a bad thing. I think there are reasons why something being linear can be bad, but it depends on the game design. And I think this game finds actually like a happy balance between exploration and linearity, personally. But I would be happy to hear more about that for sure. Repetitive and tedious, yeah. Too long and a repetitive game loop, maybe something like that. An unexciting game loop. Like at no point in this game do I ever feel like excited to do something. Repetitive, and I think that can be separate than too long, because I think those are kind of two separate points to some degree. Although the length of the game definitely amplifies that. Combat music's pretty good in this game, I think. Would I be wrong in saying that story is very uninteresting or One Piece like I story is uninteresting and not story is uninteresting, that's for sure. I do not think the story is interesting. I think what I want to add on to here is that it does not seem very One Piece-y, like this, like not One Piece-y. I mean, we could go with that. But like it kind of like the structures maybe kind of like One Piece, but I feel like the way it tells the story does not feel very One Piece. And like there are a couple of cutscenes in the game that I think did a pretty good job, but I think the majority of the storytelling is very straightforward, and I don't think represents what little I've seen of the One Piece franchise in terms of its humor, except for, again, some very specific cutscenes. I think the ending cutscene was pretty good on that. I think there were a couple other cutscenes where he like was unsealing the thing. He's like, I already did it. That seems like a very Luffy thing to do. I feel like generally it's not very One Piece-y, but I think Mr. T, I'd probably default to you if that's actually true or not. So the game loop part, yeah, I think that probably makes sense. The repetitive and unexciting game loop aspect of it, yeah. It lacks the charm personality. Okay. Would not very oh man, what's the word I want to use for this then? Uninteresting, not very One Piece story. Story does not meet One Piece standards. That's a long way to put that. What do I want to say about this? I do like not very One Piecey, but that doesn't really like say too much, I guess. Not very One Piecey. One Piece is PC. Is One Piece 2 words? One Piece is 2 words. Not very One Piecey. Is not very One Piecey okay with you? I kind of like that term for it, but simple, not very One Piecey. It's good. All right. All right. Is this good for the bad? I almost said too long. I think that's probably reasonable. Is the level design uninspired? I think the level design was fine. I personally at least don't feel like I had too much trouble. Like the jungle's a little troublesome, but that also is like a defining element of the jungle in some ways, so I don't want to like be too harsh on it. I kind of like the idea like falling and like landing on the platform below. I mean, it really is just teleport holes, but I kind of like the idea that they set up there. I think each area felt pretty distinct overall. There's a lot of verticality. I think I generally like the level design overall, so I think I will end up vetoing that one, but I could see what you're saying though. Like it maybe doesn't have like a ton of like I found something kind of thing, right? I think I generally like the world and level design though overall. So charm, yeah. Maybe just lacks One Piece charm. Is that like a good way to put that? Still just like not very One Piecey though. Lacks One Piece charm probably is the better way to define that. Lacks One Piece charm. I'm a little sad to get rid of not very One Piecey, but that defines that a lot better, I think. So. Alright, too long, repetitive, dull game loop, excessive, vague item farming, early combat too simple, overly simple early combat, and then lacks the One Piece charm. Overly simple combat early on. Something like that. All right. Well, now that I've changed the font size, let's see what this does to our final review page here. Oh, also, you guys we're gonna lose. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. Bad. All right, what do you guys think in terms of score? 3 stars. I'll read your full comment here once I have applied the One Piece. Apply One Piece directly to your stream. 3 stars. 3 stars. To be honest with you, I was worried we were going to get this game like a lower score than 3 stars, so I'm already pretty happy with the track we're on here. Close enough. Good enough. Let me read your full comment, Joshua. I would give the game 3 stars, to be honest. Fun game for a lot of people, but for One Piece fans to get their teeth into playing this game, I think it would be a treat for fans. I'm curious, Mr. T, do you agree with that? That you think like as a One Piece fan that would like increase your enjoyment of this game to some degree, or just out of curiosity? As for my personal score, I've not thought about this that much, to be honest. As much as I was spreading about this being really low, I think to some degree I was just like, I did not think too much about where I would go on this. Yeah, okay. It's funny because I think I might give it a little bit of a higher score than you guys. I think 2 things that I might be biased on here. One is, I think if I was playing this game all at once, I would not feel, and like playing this was something where I was like, this seems like a great game to have on in the background while you do something else, like a good podcast game, right? That is what this game feels like to me. And obviously during a stream, I gotta do stuff to keep things interesting, right? And I think it's pretty clear throughout this game. There's definitely been like I think less interest in the streaming stuff, and I think that there's a big part of that reason is why. Yeah, I'm thinking 3.5. The other part of it is that we are breaking this game up between like 2 months at this point, right? And I feel like if I had shrunk this down to a shorter window of time, I would like it more. And I think 3.5, I think realistically, if the stream experience was the experience everybody had, I think a 3.0 would probably be where I'm at. But I think some of my frustration with this game and like my oh my gosh, I wish this was over kind of thing comes from streaming. So I feel like I needed to lean it up a little bit. Just because I think I would enjoy this game more in a different environment to some degree. Maybe that's not fair. I don't know, but it sounds like Joshua sounds good around like a 3.5 too. So maybe that's fine. So maybe we can live our life at a 3.5 range. I think there are things that would definitely make this game better. I think it is a better than average game, but I think that the elements that make it better than average don't necessarily, they're not exciting elements, but they're interesting elements to sit down and think about. And as some, like for me, I like interesting games, and this game is very interesting to me, at least as somebody who has not played. Yeah. So I think that is like part of why I lean up on this as well, beyond that, because I think you guys are aware that, like, to me, sometimes a game is not always just pure enjoyment, right? Like, I think of, like, The Wizard of Oz Beyond the Olympic Road, of just, like, a lot of that game is pretty straightforward. You're just like, all right, I'm walking down a hallway and fighting enemies. But it's, like, the little pieces that kind of put it together in a lot of ways. But that game has high points, right? Where a game like this doesn't really have high points. But I think it makes up with it with ideas and things like that. So yeah, if you guys are okay with the 3.5 and me bullying you guys to a 3.5, I'll be happy to take that bullying and live that life. Live the bully life and put a 3.5. I think we said a lot of good stuff about the game here, though. I'm very glad we played it. I don't know if it was the greatest stream ever, but I'm glad we played through it and finished it and we got through it. I pushed through it for a reason, because I thought it was interesting enough to try to finish. And I kind of like showing that on stream a little bit too. So anyways, I think we're probably good. So I'm going to start setting up for the final moments of our lives here. Once we put this stamp down, we all die. So I'm going to disappear. You guys don't need to see my gruesome death. And we don't need to see your cries of horror as we all die together. So let me get rid of the chat, so we can all just rest in peace with One Piece in peace. I did not mean for that to come out that way, but it's good. 3 to 3.5 is considered a good game for me. And yeah, not every game has too much to like. Yeah. I think like part of me is I think I'm very impressed by this game having like really, really neat ideas. I think, but I think as like Joseph has said before, it feels very Atelier, which you know is a franchise that maybe wasn't like as big at this point. And I have not played it either. So all right. Here we go. Hopefully the stamp animation works this time. I think with Rygar we had some problems. We did it. We did it. Where am I going? Just me? Look, there's a cat and not dishwasher. Washing machine detergent. I need to take that out. It's been there for like 3 days. Let me... Oh, so you got all the podcast crafted. Repetitive spell wrong? Thank you. I'll fix it in a little bit. I'll fix it before I post it on the website. In the bad section. Let me see here. Properties. Repetitive. There we go. Perfect. All right, look at that cat now. That's what's important. What's important right now is the cat. Actually, I don't know what stream setup I want for this. Here? I think we have a chat here, don't we? I'm looking for a chat.
No match for me now.
Fluffy. There we go. Well, I guess we're coming back to this stream for now. Anyways. Oh, gosh. I'm so glad we're done with that.